Okay, welcome back, everyone. Sorry we took a short break last week, but it was the 4th of July weekend here in the States, and I wanted to spend it with my mom, which I did, and I had a great time, and decided to rest everything up, which I did that also. So now we're gonna be getting back into the swing of things. Now, last week, um, Alpha Thea, which is Pioneer DJ, came out with I won't say a stripped out version of the DDJ 3000X, but what I would say a more affordable version in their perspective. It's the CDJ 1500X. Now, as this particular segment, it's not going to talk about the specs or anything of the sort because there's a lot of channels on on this space has done all that. Shout out to Mojax. Shout out to Crossfader. Shout out to Peanut Joan Lee and all the other ones that gave their take on this new particular hardware. What we're going to do in this segment is we're going to, I won't say pit, but I want to try to get to us DJs out here is to try to be as practical as possible with with the gear that you have in your home studio, because you know gear will always come out. There will always be new gear that's gonna come out, that and they're always going to give you the specs and give you the warm and fuzzies, the shiny new toy, and you're going to think in terms of, oh, I may want to get that, but does that fit into your realm as far as what you do as a DJ, whether it's live streaming or IRL or or the like. So but here on this particular segment, we're going to really focus on the home studio. And I'm going to give my take on why, or suggest that maybe you should look at other areas of hardware instead of just going to run out the DDJ 1500X. So, without further ado, let's get on to it. This is House That Speaks, coming to you live from the Chi-Town, Chicago, and you are in at viewing, listening in, and all the things. Welcome to another Monday rant and discussion. As I say, as I said in the previous intro, we're going to spin things up a little bit. We're going to take another route as far as presenting the new CDJ 1500X by Alpha Theta. We're not going to, like I said before, we're not going to do all the specs and all the other things because there's plenty of channels for that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to present to you and let you see that, okay, maybe this particular hardware may not be suitable for your home studio. There may be others that may fit better. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Okay. What I'm saying is don't buy Don't buy the CDJ 1500X for your home studio. I got two alternatives as to, in my humble opinion, will fit better for your studio. Okay, you have the XDJ-AZ that came out, I think, last year. I think sometime last year. If I'm not mistaken, quote me on that. You can quote me on that. And also you have the 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 unique Opus Quad that came out. I think probably last year or a year before, whatever the case may be. So we're going to break things down onto why I, in my humble opinion, think that the the AZ and the Opus Quad may be not only a suitable hardware to choose, but it will probably be practical and also as far as price wise. Because you have to remember when you're getting a CDJ, you're not getting one, you're getting two. And you also have to realize CDJs, especially today, are expensive. And not only that you're getting two CDJs, you are getting a mixer as well. So we're pretty much going to pit against if it's practical, if it's more practical to you to get two CDJs and a mixer versus a all-in-one um, hardware for your studio. So we're gonna go to the next slide. Okay, I am gonna. Here's a little tidbit about the CDJ 1500 for those who not familiar with it and didn't see the launch or didn't go to any other platforms, channels that I mentioned before. But it would behoove you do check those channels out so you can check out the specs and all the other things about this particular hardware. Okay, the new Alpha Theta CDJ 1500 is a very capable player. Okay, it brings many of the flagship workflow features into a more compact package, including a 10-inch touchscreen, which is awesome because both Opus Quad and also the AZ also have a 10-inch touchscreen, built-in Wi-Fi, cloud access, streaming support, uh, NFC login, and performance controls such as 8 hot cubes. It aims at bars, small clubs, mobile DJs, and home studios where space is limited. Now, that is true, but like I said, here we want to talk about being practical and not just trying to get the shiny new toy. So we're going to take a deep dive into why I will consider the other two standalone hardware DJ hardware versus getting two CDJ 1500X and a mixer. So next slide. Okay. Now that said, okay, this is my this is my take on it. Okay. I wouldn't say DJ should avoid this. I'm not the CDJ 1500X. I'm not telling you to avoid it outright. I'm not telling you don't get it. What I'm saying is, there are several reasons why a standalone system may be the smartest purchase for many home studios. Because remember, with a standalone system, you're getting everything in one package. You're getting the mixer and you're getting the other jogwares that's has the same format as a CDJ versus getting two separate CDJs and a mixer. So we're gonna go into that. So let's do it. Okay. Cost of a complete setup. Now, mind you, you're getting two CDJs 1500X and a mixer, and and the cost for one is 16.99 US. Okay. Now, when it comes to a CDJ setup, it requires a lot of, key components. Okay. You remember you need to get two of those. Now, I just gave you the actual price for one. So make sure you multiply that price by two, and you better add taxes to that as well. Okay. Then you're gonna want to get a mixer. Now, I use as example the A9 mixer. I mean, to me, that would be a sensible mixer to get. Now, I'm sure there's other mixers that you may want to add to it. You might get the Exforia rotary mixer, which you're talking about a higher price, or you may get one of the smaller mixers that's out there for either AlphaTheta or other mixers from other brands. But for to use this as an example, I'm being hypothetically saying that, okay, if I want to actually get a DJ system, I know I'm going to need two CDJ 1500s. Yes, it is 16.99. You might as well say 1700 for one, but I need two. So multiply that. Then I'm gonna need a mixer. So let's say I'm probably gonna have to spend. Let's say I get an A9 mixer. That's close to 2,900. Okay. Now this is not including the taxes, and this is all USD. So this is US dollars we're talking about. Okay. Now, now, if you live in Europe or other places, you probably have to, figure out the conversions of where you live in your say country. But here today, we're gonna be talking about US. I'm talking about US dollars. Also, you're gonna have to get additional audio and network cables for it. Then you got to make sure you have the desk space for it. Maybe your current desk space is not a suitable space, which means you might have to buy another desk for it. Okay. That adds, you got to factor that in. So, by by the time you assemble everything, you're spending a large amount of money for for your whole entire system. Now, the alternative of that is getting an all-in-one system. Okay, like I said, you can either choose the Alpha Theta XDJ-A9, okay, or you can choose the Opus Quad, also by our Alpha Theta Pioneer DJ. Because it includes a player, mixer, touchstream effects, and connectivity in a single unit. That's the key ingredient. That's the difference. Single unit versus pieces of a unit, separate pieces of a unit, separate pieces that I have to purchase each piece of a unit versus an all in one unit, one price. Okay. Now, I'm going to say this again. If you have the necessary funds to get two CDJ 1500X and an A9 mixer and all the other things that goes with it, by all means, knock yourself out. But like I said, we need to be practical, my fellow DJs, because these equipments are not cheap. They are expensive. So if you, and especially if you're talking about upgrading to a more professional system, I I still will say, and I will stand on this hill. It behooves you to choose an all-in-one standalone system versus getting a CDJ 1500 because you got to get two, and you got to get a mixer, and you got to get everything else that goes with it. Just a thought. Just a thought. Okay, let's go. Okay, better value for home DJs. Now we're talking about DJs who's doing this at home. We're talking about DJs who do live stream or who has a studio or whatever the case you be, or if you want to take it for traveling to do your mobile DJ and things of that nature. Okay, because now if your primary activities are practicing recording mixes, live streaming, creating YouTube content, which I do here, yay yay, you know or preparing radio shows, which I do also, a standalone system gives you more virtually everything you need without purchasing separate components. That's the key. We're talking about getting something that's everything that you have in one shot versus getting something separate that you have to piece everything up together. And it also will save you more time. Okay? When I purchased my Opus Quad, I didn't have to do too much. I just had to make sure I had the right cables, the right connections. I may have to purchase a couple of things. I know I had to purchase some more XLR cables. I definitely had to purchase an Ethernet cable so it can connect to my desktop so I can be able to play on my record box my record box software on my laptop. I mean, I'm sorry, on my desktop. So that's pretty much all I really need to get as far as extras is concerned. Of course, the USBs and all that, that's a given, and the headphones, all that a given. But I'm talking about connecting so you can get ready to play. That's pretty much all I had to deal with. Okay. Now, when you dealing with getting CDJs in the mixer, it's going to take more. And don't forget, you have to make sure you have the space for that. Lucky for me, it's on my desk, and it was just enough space on my desk to have that. Now, I do have a photo that I took of my layout. Maybe one of these days I'll post it up here, next time. But that's pretty much all I need to say on this particular part. So hope everybody got the gist of that. Let's move on. Let's set up more music. Okay. Now we're talking about setup time. Okay. Because a standalone system means fewer power cables, okay, fewer audio cables, no LAN networking between separate decks, faster setup, easier maintenance. Okay, because remember, you're getting everything that everything within a CDJs and a mixer all in one. Okay, the simplicity of it is perfect for a home studio because you don't want to be fussing around with too many things, especially when you're talking about getting two CDJs in the mixer. Now, like I said before, I know certain DJs who did and have and prefer getting two CDJs in the mixer. And to be honest, that works for them. If that works for you, my fellow DJs, by all means. But like I said, Let's be practical. Let's be practical as far as time. Let's be practical as far as price wise. And the practical stance, and I will keep standing on this, is purchasing an all-in-one standalone DJ system. Okay, let's go to the next one. Nearly the same workflow. Yeah, you have the same workflow. I mean, there's really no difference in workflow and workaround, you know, getting two CDJs 1500X in a mixers versus a standalone. Okay. Now the CDJ 1500 borrows heavily from the flagship workflow, which it does because it's supposed to be the smaller version of the CDJ 3000X. You know, it's just like when the CDJ, I mean, yeah, when the CDJ 1000 controller came out, also came out a smaller version, which was the CDJ 800. No, I'm sorry. The DDJ, no, the DDJ 1000 came out, and then they also came out with a DDJ 800. Sorry about that, cause I still own the DDJ 800, and I got that versus the big one, which was the 1000. And the only difference between the two, well, two differences between the two. The 800 had a smaller jog wheel, and it was a two-channel mixer instead of your four-channel mixer with the uh, DDJ 1000. Okay. Now, now remember, we're talking about workflow. The the um the XZ has the same workflow as the 1500X, but you're getting all in one instead of worrying about getting two CDJs in a mixer. Okay, because Alpha Theta has intentionally made the transition between its standalone systems and club players feel familiar. That's another reason why you should get a standalone, because if you're saying that the reason why I'm getting this smaller version CDJ 1500X, because it has the same feel as the CDJ 3000X. Yeah, I agree with you on that. But guess what else? Guess what? The AZ has that same feel. So does the Opus Quad. Believe it or not, if you see the Opus Quad and the AZ setup, the setup is familiar. The designs are different. Different designs for both. Okay? Because remember, the AZ pretty much replaced the XZ. Whereas the Opus Quad is, it's a new design, it's unique, it's different, but as far as the same format, it's the same format as if you was getting two CDJs in a mixer. Okay. For many DJs, the practical difference during a set is smaller than the price difference. Okay. Practical. We're talking about being practical, my fellow DJs. Okay. Next one. Okay. Streaming and content creation. Okay. Now, this is pretty much on my little ballpark as well, because I mostly do live streams, when I play. So if you create Twitch streams, YouTube mixes, radio shows, promotional content. Okay. I do all those things. Okay. An all-in-one controller is easier to integrate into a permanent streaming setup because everything is centralized into one single device. And that means everything, even where even the position where the mic, when you have the mic, when I turn the mic on, that's positioned a certain way. When I do like when I'm doing my live stream here, my mic is connected to my Opus Quad. I don't have a I don't have to get a separate mix or a separate system for the mic. Everything is all in one particular place. Okay. Now that might not be the case if you have to get two CDJs in a mixer. Even though yes, mixer the mixer does have the mic, but still you have to get that separate. Whereas here is all came in one package. Okay. And especially when you talking about doing live streaming and the like, you would prefer a smaller package. Like I said, other DJs may disagree because I've seen DJs have live stream with a full, professional DJ system. You know, I mean, case in point, um, a DJ producer by the name of DJ Alexandra. She has a full professional DJ system set up. Okay, she has four CDJ um, 3000. I'm not sure they 3000X or the 3000, but she has four of them along with the AI mixer. That's her setup. But she's a DJ and producer. She does that for a living, and I'm sure that's what she wanted. I'm sure that suits her needs. But if you don't have that kind of coin, why try to spend that kind of money? Seriously. Because remember, she had to pay for each CDJ along with that mixer. I can imagine how much money she had to fork for that particular system. And trust me, it looks great. It looks amazing. But if you don't have that kind of money, why break your bank where you can get a good setup, everything all in place with just getting a standalone. Okay? I'm gonna keep drilling that, so let's go. Okay, space efficiency. Now we're talking about space. If you have a current desk or a current space where you're setting up your DJ system, okay, you pretty much you may not want to purchase another desk to have, so in order for you to have space, you probably want to use what you have now currently, and then maybe somewhere down the road, if you decide to buy another separate DJ desk, you can. But why spend that money if you don't have to? Okay. Even though the CDJ 1500X is more compact, which it is, than the CDJ 3000X, two media players plus a mixer still occupies substantial more desk space than one standalone unit. And I don't think I need to say anything else on that. Okay? Because Alpha Theta itself positions the 1500X as a compact player for installations where separate components are still preferred. Remember, it it may be smaller than its big brother, which is the 3000X, but mind you, you still have to worry about, do I have enough space on my current desk area for two CDJs and a mixer? And if the answer is no, standalone is where you need to look at. Seriously. Next. Okay. Upgrade path. Oh, here we go. Now, a standalone system is an excellent long term investment. Now we're talking about long term. Now we're talking about longevity. And that's the reason why I personally decided when I upgrade, I decided to purchase my Opus Quad because I was looking at long term. I was looking at longevity. I wasn't looking at getting another upgrade. You know, I mean, like I said, the 1500X is enticing, but I know what I have to get, what I also have to get, and how much money I have to spend versus what I have now. Okay, and like I said, we're talking about long time, and you know, and standalone systems has proven to be excellent long term investments for a home studio. I mean, let's go by the XZ is a prime example of that. I know plenty of DJs who still own the XZ, who still own the AZ. I mean, I'm sorry, the XZ, and you know, and I don't think in the future, unless something goes awry with that particular standalone, I don't see them upgrading to the AZ. You know, I think they're just going to stick to the XZ and call it a day. You know, that's the example of how powerful it is for standalones when it comes to a long-term investment. Okay, because if you later begin playing clubs regularly, you can transition to a separate CDJs with the confidence that the underlying workflow will already feel familiar. But see, that's a big if. If that does happen and you are able to play at clubs or festivals or events on on a regular basis, yes, it will be practical for you to get two CDJs in the mixer. But what the climate as far as clubs concerned and how many and the amount of clubs that's closing pretty much every day, when especially the large amount of clubs that's closing every year, and the difficulty of trying to get in to a festival or trying to get a residency to a nightclub. That's why most DJs today are reliable more so on live stream, on online radio, because this is the best way to get yourself out there and to keep playing without worrying about trying to, you know, find a club in a gig outside. And the way it's designed, there's a possibility, especially with Twitch, if you become their partner, you get a percentage of the revenue. So that's and I notice more DJs are going that route. You know, even though it was said that, well, when things open up, I don't think online or live stream is going to be a big deal. And I proved that wrong, and I have, you know, several videos that can vouch me that that was incorrect. And like I said, more live streams are popping up. In fact, more radio stations are forming. Why? Because they see the fact that there are more DJs out there than are clubs that's going to be able to fill them. You know, you're not if you're DJ, you're not going to be able to play at a club. You may be that one that won't play at clubs probably ever. So why wait for that lucky star where you have the tools to be able to do live stream, and all you have to do is be practical and get you a standalone that's going to fit your little studio. Okay, next. Okay, whew, we're finally down to the wire here. Okay, now here's my recommendation for a DJ who thinking in terms of upgrading their system to a pro system, you know, and not want to spend the money. What's up, Arlie? What's going on? Thank you so much for stopping in. Appreciate it, my brother. Appreciate it. Okay. My recommendation for a studio as follows. Consider your workflow. Okay. me, I'm gonna use me as an example. I am a underground DJ. I also play techno. I also play disco. I also play down tempo. I regularly play on Twitch. I do have a two online radio shows. One of my shows, I also play live on Twitch as well. Like I broadcast on a radio show there as well. I'm part of Ray Trains and the like. I also have a YouTube content as you're witnessing right now. Okay, I will. This one I will rank the option. Okay, if if you plan on getting the Opus Quad, you know, if you plan on having your home studio as your centerpiece for your DJing and content creation, the Opus Quad is the way to go. Oh, I believe says just play from the crib and keep familiar with what you are, what you got over the years. Yes, exactly. You know, but also, Lee, if you want to upgrade to to a higher DJ platform, DJ system, you know, I still say getting a standalone will be more of a practical sense as far as money and space, and also less setup than trying to get two CDJs in the mixer. Okay, let me continue here. Okay, if you want the closest experience to a current club booth, the AZ will get you there. Trust me, I know people who own the AZ and they swear by it because, like I said, the AZ it was replaced the XZ, and most DJs, home DJs got the XZ because of the fact that it was as close as getting two professional CDJs in a mixer. In fact, most of those same DJs will take their XZ to smaller venues and and events and the like, especially places where they don't have any DJ equipment whatsoever. Okay. Now, okay, here I'm going to say when it comes to the CDJ 1500X. Okay, a strong opinion for a strong option if your goal is to is a modular setup and your value component flexible over our price. Okay. Yes, it is. Um, I'm gonna say this again. When it comes to getting two CDJs in the mixer, you know, that's an option if your goal is a modular setup and you value component flexibility over our value. In other words, if you really gotta have two CDJs in the mixer and you don't care about how much it's gonna cost, by all means, have at it. If you have the necessary funds to do it, I'm not. Who am I to stop you? It's your money. It's your home studio, and if you think that, hey, maybe I probably will be gigging out more and things of that nature. And the other good thing about the 1500X is not as heavy as the 3000X. So if you want to take it out on gigs and that nature, you can get a case for the two CDJs and get a case for a mixer and have all the other stuff, and then you'll be able to do that. That's your option. We believe in options, ladies and gentlemen. We're not, there's no such thing. This equipment is better than that equipment, or this equipment is more convenient than that equipment. But I do want to stress again: practical, practical, practical. As a DJ, especially if you're a small DJ, especially if you're a DJ and you focus more on live stream than anything else, you know, and you want to upgrade your system, I will still suggest standalone is the way to go. Okay. I think that's the end of this, baby. Yeah, it is. Let's go back here. Now, I'm not going to keep this uh, longer. I think I have covered the things that needs to be covered. As far as you know, getting a two CDJs in the mixer versus well, then getting a standalone DJ system. So I would like to thank those who have listened in, thank those who joined the chat. I really shout out to you, my brother. Thank you so much for always coming in and supporting and giving your input. You know, and yeah, your last he says on his last um, message, he says the standalone is definitely the way to go for the home, and it is. It is. I mean, when I purchased my Opus Quad, I was pleasantly surprised that I had the room to fit it on my desk because I have a big old desk in my place, and the Opus Quad fit right in. And I was able to put everything, all the other pieces together, and I have a nice little home studio. So, and your studio may not be a small little corner of your place. It may be another room. It may be a separate room. It may be a basement. It may be a huge basement. Wherever the case may be, again, you know, let's be practical. Let's think in terms of the cost of getting your upgraded system, and if your system fits, your current situation. Like I said, your space or what have you, without you trying to spend more to accommodate said space. Okay, that'll be it, everyone. Thank you so much again for coming in. I appreciate your love and support. For those who new to the channel, please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know I'll be doing another Monday rant and discussion. Okay. Now, let me see. I got two things going on this week. One, I'll be part of Twitch DJs Latin, Afro, and Tribal Ray Train. That will be my set is at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. That's 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's on my Twitch channel. All you gotta do is search House that Speaks _ and you'll find my Twitch channel. I hope you guys join in. And if you're in the Chicago area, I will be playing live. Yes, live. Yes, IRL live at this spot called Bodega. It's on, I think I'm going to say it's 1255 Division or 1254 Division. I hope I'm saying it right. I'll be posting that particular flyer all on my social medias. That's this Sunday. And I will be doing a 2-hour set. I'll be playing with DJ Franco on that. And this is his thing. This is part of his crew, which is Chicago Tribe. Shout out to them. I went to visit them, their event this past Sunday. I had a great time. I had a wonderful discussion with Franco regarding live streaming and DJing and the like. I also met DJ Force, who was the headlining DJ. He's originally from New York. He lives now in Cleveland, and we got to discuss about DJs from the past and how music are all the good things. And this is one of the discussions that makes me so motivated into doing these discussions with you guys when I get to go out and in the wild and talk to fellow DJs and fellow dancers and fellow lovers of this genre. So this is House That Speaks coming to you live from the Chi-Town, Chicago. I'm wishing everybody a happy and safe work week. Stay warm because I know the weather, especially here in Chicago, the weather is getting a little hot. Make sure your place is cool. Make sure you check your loved ones. Make sure they're doing okay. And as always, peace and love.